So my name is Paweł Gus. First of all, I'm very happy to be here and see a lot of you here interested in what we want to say, and all of us. Thank you, Metoda, for inviting us and for taking care of us also 2 days before this event. I joined Softwareplant 1 year ago, but I know Tom Kucharski, who is let's say, a visionary behind Big Picture and the current CEO of Softwareplant for 8 years. And I remember this was around October 2014. We met at his home, and he just explained me about a new private project that he started to work on. He was working in another company during the day, and during the night he started developing Big Picture. And we spoke about teams that use Jira and have a lot of tasks and like this tool. But in bigger companies you have project managers and general managers of different levels that need different information, that need some information about deadlines, about timelines, about the progress on high-level initiatives. And we said Jira is a great tool, but it's a task management tool, not a project management tool, at least at this point in time. And so the idea was to create a tool for project managers in a way that it will not affect the teams that work in Jira, but on the same time give project managers all the information they need, and do it in a way that it's easy to use, a lot of visualizations, diagrams, and so on. And we were also talking about, how you can manage a company, a bigger company, if you have agile teams. But agile, like Scrum, you can use it in a team of, 8 people, 10 people. But if you have a company having hundreds of these teams, how do you manage it? How do you combine it? And there are different possibilities, but one that he told me at this, 5 years ago, that he is interested in SAFe. This was quite new, Scaled Agile Framework. He learned it, and he said, I want to incorporate it into my tool. I want the companies that will decide to do agile, scaled agile, to be able to use my tool. So this was the idea behind Big Picture, and this is how it started. A year later, Softwareplant was founded. This was 2015. In the meantime, we have 5 products on the marketplace. We have 60 people on board. More than 40 are working in R&D, so from product managers who decide which features will be developed, developers, testers, DevOps. And last year we became the founding member of Atlassian Platinum Top Vendor Program. This started last year. Big Picture is the flagship product. It's available as a Jira add-on on all the platforms, Server, Cloud, and Data Center. And also we have, maybe you know, maybe you don't know, we have a Trello power-up. This is limited edition, let's say, just having a Gantt chart, but you can switch on Big Picture also if you use Trello. Okay, for those of you who don't know Big Picture, I will go through a short introduction, but during meetings with our clients, we saw that even if somebody is using Big Picture, very often they are not using all the modules. So maybe it will be interesting also for those of you who already know Big Picture. It is important to understand the program concept. This is the beginning of using Big Picture. You need to define your program or programs. We call it program, but it can be what is the business meaning depends how you define the scope of the program. So a program can actually be one business project, but it can be a portfolio of projects. So inside one program you might have different projects, and you can monitor them, so you can monitor the whole portfolio of your projects. So depending on how you define it, you can actually manage your undertaking on different levels. This is how you can define the project's program scope. So you can combine boards, agile boards in Jira if you use them. You can add a filter, just Jira filter. So all the issues that are the results of this filter will be part of the program. You can add your projects. Here you can add your Jira projects and build a program out of it. Now the next step is to decide what modules you would like to have in your program. We have 7 modules, and you can use all of them, you can use one of them, you can use any combination of them depending on what you need. So after you create the, you choose the modules, you will see them here as like a menu, and we have a Gantt chart. I will go later more into details what we can do there. There we have scope, which is like a left side of the Gantt chart, so without the diagram. We have resource planning, resources module, when you can see capacity and allocation of your people. A board module, which is used for cross-team planning. So in Jira, you can plan on a Jira board, allows you to plan within one team. Here you can plan with different teams at once. We have roadmap for objective or goal monitoring and planning, and risk module to manage risks. So as I said earlier, a lot of teams are working agile, but if you think of a company as a whole, it's hard to say that a 10,000 people company is an agile company. Very often you have agile on some level and then some kind of waterfall on higher level, unless you really implement SAFe fully in the whole organization, then you could probably call the organization agile. But what we call hybrid methodology is a methodology that combines agile, mostly on the lower levels, team levels, and waterfall on higher levels. So, waterfall. You know Gantt for sure, even if you don't know Gantt from big picture, you know the diagram. So big picture provides Gantt module that has most of the functionality that you would expect from a Gantt chart. You have tasks, you have dependencies between tasks, you have here you can have any columns you want to see. You have a structure of tasks, you can move the tasks here, and of course this is synchronized with Jira instantly. So any change you do in big picture is reflected in Jira and the other way around as well. Scope. Scope is the left side of the Gantt, you can call it, so like a Gantt without the diagram, but scope allows you, you can use scope, for example, for reporting. It's a very nice tool because you can add here any actually Jira field you want. If you have custom fields, you can include them. You can create a structure based on, for example, or any links in your Jira. So if you have stories, then epics with connected by epic links. Maybe you have other links to connect issues on a higher level. Very often our clients have features or initiatives that are also represented as issues in Jira. So you can create a hierarchy. You can also use versions, so releases, and see, for example, all tasks grouped by releases. You can use components if you use a component field for any reason, then you can also use this to create the structure. Now, you can also define how you would like to aggregate data. So, for example, if you look here, this task, the status column is aggregated so that it shows the percentage of tasks that are the children tasks that are in the status to do, percentage of in progress tasks, and percentage of done tasks. You can even define, for example, if you have story points, you can define an aggregation so that it will show you story points by status. So how many story points are done, how many story points are in progress, and so on. So quite a powerful tool for monitoring your hierarchy of issues. Now going more agile, we have board. In board, you can actually plan your iterations or sprints. You can have your teams, and you can then plan your tasks. If you have a planning session every, I know, month, 2 months, 3 months, depending on how you do it, then you can during this session with all the teams or as some part of the teams, you can plan your tasks. I will show a bit more about board in a minute. Yes, and what I would like to show here is also that you can, on the board, you can do capacity planning. So here you see the capacity for the iteration. It is 40, and you can see how much of it is used by the tasks that are already planned. And for example, in this iteration, we see it is 40. Here we have 52 already allocated, and this is too much. So that's why it's red, and it shows you have planned too much. Good. Now you can also use the scope module if you work agile. So if in this case you have epics and stories, very often you will have one more level, like features, for example, or some initiatives. So you can see the structure of your epics and stories on one screen, again with the aggregations, with the fields that make sense for you in this view. Good. Going hybrid. Hybrid is, well, there are probably many use cases that I could show you, but one of the use cases that the teams are planning on the board because they are agile and they just plan on a iteration level. But higher management might need Gantt to see their undertakings or initiatives that are just long-term initiatives, and these tasks are just some parts of the program. So on the board module, you can define that you would like to synchronize the sprints with the start and end dates of the task on the Gantt. So you can say, if I add a task to a sprint, then the start and end date should automatically be set to start and end date of the iteration. Now, the result is that on the Gantt chart, you can switch on iteration view or sprint view. So those colors, vertical columns are the sprints. And you can see that those tasks that are assigned to an iteration will have a start and end date. Will have the full iteration duration, because the teams don't care about the duration of a task. I just will do it in this sprint. I don't know exactly when, and I don't know exactly how long it will take. But for a higher management, it doesn't matter. It's enough to see that it's within this iteration. Now, but there will be also tasks like this one that are not assigned to an iteration because there are higher level tasks, and they will have their duration and start and end dates set by the manager, for example. And of course, you can link the tasks, so we will have all the benefits of a Gantt chart. If a task is moved from one iteration to another by the team, the manager will see what are the consequences. The other tasks that he have planned will move as well. Okay, going into SAFe, I told you that SAFe was actually from the beginning part of the design of the project. So this this picture is from safe documentation. This is taken from scaletegerframework.com, and this is how the board looks like. So you have here iterations, you have here teams, and you have here tasks that have dependencies. And the same you will see on our board. You have here iterations, you have here teams, and you can create links that will show the dependencies. Here the links are green because the tasks are planned correctly, but if you plan a task that should be done before, after some other task, you will plan it too early, then it will show red. It will allow you to do the planning, but it will show red. Also, actually, how you do the planning. If you know Safe, Safe has iterations, but it has also program increments. This is like a higher level period. Program increments are usually a couple of iterations long, and at the beginning of each program increment, you do PI planning, program increment planning, and you do it with the whole team. And what you can do in big picture is you can see the program backlog. So there are all the tasks that are not assigned to iterations yet are in the program backlog. You can move drag and drop the task either to the cadence backlog, which will be assigning them to iteration, to the sprint, but not yet to the team. Or you can drag them directly, or from here, to a specific cell that will mean I assign it to a sprint for the specific team. And of course, the data will be saved in Jira. Our roadmap, the PI planning, depending how you do it, it starts or ends with defining PI objectives, so program increment objectives. Objectives are like high-level guidelines where we want to go. These are not tasks. And so here in big picture for, let's say, PI10, this is one of program increments. You can create objectives on a company level or on the team level. You can also drill down. If you drill down, you see the iterations of the program increment, and you can define objectives also there. For the objectives, according to SAFE, you can define business value. So PBV is planned business value. So when you create the objective, these are kind of priorities. So you say this objectives with 10 are most important. This with 8 is also important, but a bit less. So this is a guideline for the teams, what they should most concentrate on or concentrate on in the first, at first. And latest at the end of the program increment, but very often after each sprint or sometimes even daily, product managers can provide the team with the feedback of the current actual business value. So for example, after one sprint, there is a review or demo, and product managers say, okay, at this point in time, I think this is worth 3 out of 10. This is also feedback for the team, are they doing good or not. Good, resource planning. Besides the capacity planning that I showed you on the board, you can also use our resource module and see the capacity and the allocation for each person and globally. So yeah, the capacity is you can define workload plans. You can say which days you work, how many hours. So there might be full-time workload plan. There might be half-time workload plan, and then yeah. Yes, I will show it in a minute. So. So the system calculates the capacity automatically, and the allocation comes from the tasks that you assign to people. You can do the same on the team level. So you see the sum for the team. And you can show your tasks. So actually, a lot of clients uses this view more than a Gantt because they see the task and you can drag and drop the tasks here. So if you see over allocation here is red, you can take this task, move it somewhere else, and you will see what will happen instantly. Yes, on the previous screen you have seen allocation and capacity. Here this is switched off. Here you have another opportunity to see the remaining capacity only. This is the capacity minus allocation. So everywhere when it's minus, it's red because it's over allocated. If it's green and plus, then you still have space there. And in Big Picture Enterprise, you have also the option of showing tasks from all programs, because your people that have some tasks in your program might be working on other programs and have tasks there that influence their allocation. So you might see here that they are allocated, but you don't know why, because you don't see the tasks. With this option, you can see why the system show you the allocation. And your question, skills, you can also do the planning on the skill level. So if you assign skills to people, and you assign skill, meaning what competences they have, and you assign skills to tasks, meaning what skills I need to do the tasks, the system can combine those and see here the same red means I have not enough of this skill to do the planned task, and green is okay. Or I have still some room to allocate more tasks. And you can see the resources panel. This is a Gantt chart. You can switch the resources panel at the bottom, so you can see all the resources connected with the tasks that you see at the top with their allocation. And red means also over allocated. Good, risk management. We have a risk module. In risk module, we use two dimensions. One is risk probability, the other is risk consequence. This is connected with fields in Jira. If you have issues and you set those two values, you will see a risk card on this matrix. And we use it very often for long-term planning, to see after the planning, to see let's say the risk heat map of the whole project or program. So you see, do I have a lot of red cards or a lot of green cards? And we discuss, especially the red ones, what we can do to mitigate the risks. And besides the heat map, you have just table view at the bottom. You can add any columns you want to analyze your risks. Good portfolio management. As I said, in big picture, we have programs, but those programs can be actually portfolios. And depending on how you define your program, you can do portfolio management in different ways. So, for example, if you have more an agile structure, so like stories and epics. Epic are very often high-level tasks. You can use quick filters, which can be used for many requirements. And you can define your quick filter. I want to see only epics, and then you can use it on the in the scope module, having a report that you want, any columns you want, you can include here, and you can use it also in the board module to see to which iterations are my epics assigned, and see the timeline of the project or of your requirements. Other possibilities, if your program is a set of projects, Jira projects, you can also have a structure showing like a portfolio, and here you have different Jira projects with different measures that you want to have. And also you can what I showed just now was inside one program, but you can have a lot of programs, and you are able to see all the programs on a Gantt chart with if each program has a start date and end date, so you can see also how it looks like on a timeline. Good. Now what we are planning to do in the next future, actually the boxes that I will quickly tell you about is not the next future. This is actually a big change in how we want to define scope of our scope in big picture. And I told you now we have programs, but when we introduce boxes is a new name. We didn't know actually how to call it, because this is kind of folders that you can define your structure very flexibly. So for example, you can have a structure like this, that you will have a portfolio box, so box type portfolio. It includes a program, the program includes a project, but the portfolio can directly in the same time contain another project with some stages. You can have a box type art coming from Safe, Agile Release Train, that has program increments and iterations. And in Big Picture Enterprise, you will also be able to customize your box. So create your box that fits exactly your needs, the needs of your organization. What it means to customize a box can have a scope, so can be a container of tasks, and can have resources assigned. Of course, the tasks can have a schedule as well. It can also have sub-boxes, so I can define, I want to have a box called project, and I can create children of this box that are stages, for example, of the project. And I will be able to define how this relation between the parent box and the child box, I will be able to define the relation setting some constraints. So for example, I can constrain on a resources level. I can say my parent box has a team of 50 people and the child boxes can only choose out of this 50. You cannot have additional people there. Or scope, so I know set of features that I want to deliver, and the sub boxes can only take parts of these features, cannot go outside of these features. Or schedule, that the box has some time limitations and the children need to be part of this, like you have program increment and then iterations that are besides. So just as a heads up, we hope to be able to deliver it till end of the year. This is a major change, and yeah, we're really looking forward to it. You will be able to see, if you choose a box here, corporate portfolio is one of the boxes, you will see the structure of all the children on a scope view and different other views as well. Now, upcoming features, so what we will release probably till end of April, so in a month. First of all, you will be able to use a new board module. We call it Board 2.0. It's a board module where we introduce 2 levels of periods. So like in Safe, you have iterations and you have program increments. You will be able to plan on both levels. So here, for example, you have program increments. You can plan your tasks first on the program increment level, then drill down to a program increment, and maybe in some sub-teams, maybe with smaller set of people, plan the iterations of this program increment. You will also have a nice backlog on the right side, contextual backlog that will allow you to drag and drop tasks to the board. One of the functionalities of the board 2.0 will be also improved capacity planning. Until now we have capacity planning on the individual level, and here you will be able to have it on the team level, and also you will be able to override the capacity of a team. So even if the sum of the team members is, I don't know, 80, you might write 100 or the other way around. And we will introduce some small reports or charting functionality in the board and roadmap. So you will be able to, for example, to see in one iteration for a specific team how many tasks are done, how many tasks are in progress, and so on. Different ways of aggregating data and showing data. And a nice feature for PI planning, for example, we really lacked it. When you have your planning done and we presented it, each team would like to present their objectives, but if you see the whole roadmap, this is just too small for all people to see. So this is a possibility that you can just click on a cell. Cell means, for example, one team for one iteration, and it will enlarge the objectives, everything that is in the cell, and you can then go right or left or down to switch between teams or between iterations and present it nicely. So if you do PI planning with a lot of people involved and maybe a big screen, this is really helpful. Okay, so this is what I wanted to show. If you, by the way, if you need any more information, of course we are here, but also we have free webinars twice a week, Wednesday and Friday, so you can enroll on our webpage. And if you'd like a bit more, we conduct trainings, 1 or 2 day trainings, online or on-site. So feel free to contact us. Thank you.